Hi everyone, I'm SoftSeaside and welcome to this new video of my Reboot Ramble series. For those who don't know, in this little series I take you with me in the process of rebooting my old webcomic I See New Insights that I worked on from 2010 to 2022. This project is very dear to my heart and Reboot Ramble already helped me a lot to actually work on this reboot. You can find the previous Reboot Rambles in this convenient playlist. So far we've mainly talked about the story aspects we want to change, but today we finally work on something everyone, including me, waited for. The character redesigns for the main cast. Of course, we have to start this redesign series with our main protagonist, formerly called Yui. Since this is a reboot, I also have a new name for her that I will reveal later in this video. But for now, we will use her old name when referring to this character in the old version. Heads up, I will not make a redesign video for every character yet. It's a big cast of characters and the sheer existence of some of them would be considered spoilers for everyone who didn't read the old version of my webcomic yet. Old version in the description. So a few characters will get their redesigns when they appear in the story, which is pretty late for some. With no more further to do, let's dive in. First we want to take a look at Yui's old design and personality in the old comic version, how she developed during the 12 years of working on this comic, and what changes I made for the reboot. So let's talk about Yui in the beginning of the comic. Because I started drawing this comic on a whim in 2010 when I was a young impressionable teenager, in the early chapters the characters didn't really have a personality. They were a mix of anime tropes and other media that I consumed as a teenager. Tropes I liked, but also just tropes that were so common and that I didn't reflect at all. This obviously also includes our main protagonist, who Yui was a bland character in the beginning that was just a bundle of internalized shoujo manga trope, like she was nice and she likes Shiro. She plays tennis because I read like 4 volumes of Marmalade Boy as a kid. She also hated lies because her ex-boyfriend cheated on her. And also at one point she drew BL stories about Shiro, who she had a crush on, and Naoki, another male character, because a former friend of mine really wanted BL in my manga. Yeah. I gave Yui random personality traits like disliking lies and playing tennis and liking Shiro in the belief that this would make her an actual character. I really struggled so much to write her as a character because Homegirl really was just a bland piece of paper. The worst part about her was that she had no agency at all. All this super exciting and unbelievable stuff that happens and Homegirl just didn't do anything. She got involved into the story because the plot demanded so, and when she did something, she did for her love interest. Friendly reminder that having a crush on someone isn't a personality trait. Same goes for her design. I didn't know anything about character designs back then. I'm not sure if I would say that I do now. I just drew an anime girl without thinking too much. Her design didn't tell you anything about her personality or her background. Her initial look was just me stealing the bangs of Usagi from Digicharat and giving her a hairband from another anime character I can't remember anymore. There was no color scheme, no thought, no message, no vibe that I wanted to tell with this design. And worst of all, she and her love interest, Shiro, looked so similar. Sometimes it was impossible to tell these two apart. They looked like siblings in the beginning, yikes! As the years passed by and I became more mature and learned way more about storytelling and character designs, the characters in the comic also became actual characters with personality, depth, and motivations. Yui became a character that I really started to like. The thing that I like most about her is that she's a nice and honest person. Yes, I love nice characters and I hate when people say that nice characters are boring, because that's not true. Yes, being nice is the only character trait is boring, but I will die on this hill that nice characters can be great and that not everyone wants some morally great characters only. You need a mix of different characters to have some interesting dynamics. Returning back to Yui and her old personality, Yui was someone who cared deeply about the people around her and tried to understand their feelings, but she also wasn't afraid of calling out her loved ones for their mistakes. She told others what was on her mind and she wasn't ashamed of showing her opinions and her feelings, no matter if she was sad or happy. However, because she was not part of this mysterious world with supernatural powers and monsters like her family and friends, Yui felt like she couldn't do anything to help them and was really frustrated at herself. The fact that she hated lies was something I wanted to explore in the later story, that her hatred and lies made her an honest character, but also a character who struggled with white lies and was unable to lie herself. I also imagined her to be more of a creative and practical person. Unfortunately, the old version stopped before I could show more of the ideas that I had canon for her when I got older. Design-wise, Yui also has changed quite a lot. Over the years, she got a rounder appearance seems very soft and approachable as she's a kind person. I love the idea that she's so soft looking, but in reality she's also fierce. Something you wouldn't expect at first when seeing her. While Yuri may have developed into a good character, she still lacked a lot of agency even in the newer chapters. In the old version, she barely had screen time in comparison to other characters, and she was the main protagonist. The main story was supposed to be about Yuri and the visions she received, but I fell into a trap that many beginner storytellers have, preferring other characters over the main character and fleshing out their story arcs and giving them more screen time instead of the main character. Sadly, I realized that very late in the old version, but I really want to change it for the reboot. Now that we have talked in depth about Yu's old design and personality, let's see what changes I have planned for her new design. One big change is that I've decided to make our main protagonist Vietnamese. If you have seen my other Reboot Rambles, you know that the original comic took place in Japan and all the characters were Japanese. This will change for the reboot as the story will be located in an unnamed European country and the characters will be more diverse as well. With her being Vietnamese, that means that she will get a new name. Bye bye Yuri Asaruka! Our protagonist's new name will be Huỳnh Hoang Linh, Huỳnh being her family name and Linh being her first name. As a Vietnamese myself who was born, raised and lived in a European country, I thought it would be nice to give myself some representation. I wanted to tell some of my personal experience through my main character, as well through other Vietnamese characters who will be present in the story. Does this make her a self-insert? Well, I don't really care even if it does. It's my story after all, and I'm sure it could be interesting for other people as well. Also, whose OC is not a self-insert, let's be real. By the way, if anyone has some good media recommendations with cool Vietnamese characters, write it in the comments below. Highly appreciated. I also want to mention that the cast of Reboot is also aged up, making them around their 20s to 30s. Link's in her early 20s and the story starts during her first week of university. She's an art history major. Okay, let's talk a bit about her new personality. As I've mentioned in my earlier Reboot Ramble videos, I want to keep the newest characterizations and directions that develop throughout the original comic. As for her new personality, I still want her to be a nice and caring person who is honest and will tell you if you're about to do something stupid. She's the one friend who would give you the reality check you don't want to hear. I'm not sure if I want her to hate lies as much as she did in the old version because I want to cut out the cheating ex-boyfriend background, but she would definitely distaste them. She does have a strong sense of justice and strong convictions and wants to stand up for other people because of things that happened in her past. However, Ling may overstep a boundary without noticing because she believes that she does the right thing. Also, she doesn't think of herself as some kind of hero. In the contrary, Ling has lots of self-doubts and thinks of herself as a weak person. She also has a complicated relationship with her family in regards to that, but I'm keeping it vague to not spoiler you. As I mentioned before, I've always imagined Ling to be a creative soul who is very practical. In the new version, Ling is very skilled with her crafts. She can crochet, knit, sew, and regularly makes her own clothes. She also loves to make stuff for other people. Ling keeps a journal filled with diary entries, drawings, stickers, photographs, collages, all that bullet journal stuff. I think that her being a creative soul would also make her naturally curious, and she always wants to learn about new things. Maybe too curious for her own sake. It would make her more active in the story because she would actively want to figure out the mysteries of the plot. By the way, I already started drawing the first 2 chapters of the reboot, and these were her character traits that I noticed while writing her. I realized while I do have some vision how I want Ling to behave, I did change some of the directions because it felt more natural if she did other things. I like to let the characters kinda do what they want and see where it goes instead of sticking to the plan. Who knows? Maybe we look at this video in a few years and realize that Ling is completely different from what I envisioned her. Okay, let's talk about the visual design then. For the new design, I wanted to make a model sheet, an expression sheet and a little note with items and motives related to her. In 2022 or 23, I don't remember anymore, I made a first model sheet for her and 3 other characters, but I didn't like it anymore because she still looked the same and it was too much work for the remaining characters. It did help me a lot with the process in making the new model sheet though. I made this model sheet that you're seeing right now months ago, and you can tell I still had to get used to drawing her because she looks very different in comparison to how I drew her now. For example, I draw her eyes more in an almond shape now and I fill fill them out with black because it makes them look a bit like these cute eyes used for plushies. Probably have to update this one soon. My main goal with the redesigns is to express the characters' personalities and backstories into their visual design. For some characters that means almost no change, others however will have some pretty big changes. Our protagonist here is the former one. Ling didn't change too much. I really liked that Yui was roundish in the original version. I decided to keep that. I wanted a recognizable silhouette with round shapes for Ling to make her approachable and caring, so I kept the roundness of her design and emphasized it even more. Her hair, her eyes, her head are really round now. I also want to give my character different body types, so I went for a triangle body, making her legs and tummy wider and chubbier. I still have to practice that, but doesn't she look cute? Back in the original comic, I assigned every main character with a color, a fruit and an animal. It was just for fun, but every time I saw these items, it made me think of my OCs. I also realized that it did influence how I viewed my characters, so I decided to stick with the silly association system. Yui's old designated color was purple, her animal was a rabbit, and her fruit was the orange. For Ling, I decided to keep these features because I still think they fit her quite well. And I added a new category. Because I want to focus more on the flower theme in the comic, the main characters also have a designated flower. Ling's flower is probably the lotus. I'm very open to theories regarding that. Since she didn't have a color scheme in the original comic, I wanted to use her associated color as the base for her new color scheme, especially because I always hated the saturated blue and red in her old design. However, I went more for some shade of lilac instead of purple because purple wasn't quite the vibe I wanted. With her being so approachable and cute, pastel colors seemed appropriate. I used Coolers to generate a color palette. It's a great website for creating color palettes and I use it all the time. It's free to use, but if you want to explore some really cool extra features, you can use my affiliate link in the description below. You can also lock colors that you like and then let the generator choose matching colors. That's what I did because I knew I wanted some red and brown for Link's hair and hairband. The hairband has some story relevance, but I mainly kept it to make her more recognizable. You will rarely see her without it. Also, let's not talk about how it is physically not possible to wear a ribbon like that, okay? For her clothes, I gave her stuff that is comfortable and that complements her figure. She often wears clothes that she made herself, and for her preferred look she wears her overalls that are covered in splashes of colors from her DIY projects and lots of cool patches that I always forget to draw. I drew some other outfits for Ling for the different seasons, but I love her lilac overalls and accidentally used it in chapter 1 and 2. Oops, I swear she also wears other stuff. Ling always carries her self-crocheted bag where she carries her belongings. Since her associated animal is a rabbit, I thought it would be super cute if Ling would have her own design logo depicting a rabbit that she puts on all her stuff. The thought of that makes me very happy. When she's concentrating, she sticks out her tongue and wears her hairband in a way that puts away her bangs and it makes her look a bit like a rabbit. I think it's super cute. I think a rabbit just suits her cute round appearance. But maybe her assigned animal isn't a bunny, but a hare. This majestic and strong creature. Who knows? I gotta be honest, I struggle a lot with redesigning my characters. There are a lot of cool artists who give their OCs glow-ups and new designs regularly, but that was so hard for me. These characters follow me since my teenage age and the old designs grew so much on me. Changing them made me feel like changing the characters that I love so much. It was also hard for me to make changes to the story in general, but I did overcome it and I'm actually super hyped for all the changes that I planned. I hope that old and new readers will enjoy the stuff that I came up with. And here's a new design for Ling. How do you like it? Tell me in the comments. Even though she didn't change a lot, I am super happy about how it turned out and I think it gives her so much individuality. That's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this redesign video. Sorry again for taking so long. Some of you may have read in this community post from a while ago, the Reboot Rambles will come out rather sporadically now. You can read the community post in the description below. The main reason is that I started to draw the first 2 chapters of my comic recently and I want to focus on drawing the comic first. Don't worry, I still want to continue the series, but maybe the next videos will come out when the comic is already launched. We will see. Thank you so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like or subscribing to see more. See you in the next video. Bye!